Up next, we have Reclaiming the Narrative, the shifting media landscape and what it means for your livelihood. Joining us on the Global Black Economic Forum stage, American journalist, commentator, and former op-ed columnist for the New York Times and political analyst for MS Now, Mr. Charles Blow. Owner and publisher of The Root, Ashley Allison. Reporter, author, White House correspondent for Contrarian News, and host of The Tea with April Ryan, April Ryan. White House correspondent, American Urban Radio Network, Ebony McMorris. And lawyer and political commentator, Elizabeth Booker Houston.
Hello. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hey, Charles.
So we have a big discussion today about media reclaiming narrative, the current state of media and how it is splintering on the one end and consolidating on the other. The title is Reclaiming the Narrative, but the first question I'm going to ask to my panelists, each of you, is whether or not we ever had that narrative, and how do we establish it in the first place if we didn't? I'll start with you, Ashley.
Hi, Charles.
Hello.
Hi, y'all. That's a great question, and I don't know if we've ever, or even in this moment, have had the full narrative. But we have had ecosystems for our narrative. Whether it was the Pullman porters delivering the news, whether it was Ida B. Wells making sure our stories were documented, whether it was the Black press ensuring that we got into the homes in every community telling the localized story, whether it was Jet magazine showing the face of Emmett Till to wake up the consciousness of the society. That's how we owned our narrative. But then at times, we have, as a people, have also done interventions for narrative, like crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma to show the draconian approach, the barbaric approach that they were taking to Black people. So have we owned the whole thing? No, but have we been thoughtful in every way possible to make sure that our stories are documented? Yes. And do we have an opportunity now to own it? We sure do.
April.
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome.
It's good to be with all of you on the panel. Let me say this, and I want to piggyback off of what Allison said. The bottom line is we never had the narrative in mainstream news, and we know that, right? Like it was just said about Emmett Till, it took the Black press and Mamie Till Mobley to show that horrific picture of racism, splash it across the world, for people to pay attention to racism in Mississippi, still considered the most racist state in the nation. But think about this. We have been beating the drum. They're always the last to get it. We've been talking about it. We have been in oral tradition since they brought us here. They stole us from Africa. We have been doing oral tradition for the longest time. But here's the next piece I want you to know. When it bleeds, when it's a big issue like a crescendo moment, when it's George Floyd, when it's Eric Garner, when it's Freddie Gray, that's when white media wants to come in. But always remember this as well. It has never been balanced, and there was an attempt by LBJ and that Kerner Commission report, remember that? To try to balance it. The Kerner Commission report at the very end talked about putting people who look like us in high spaces to quell the tension in the atmosphere, to ask questions, to get answers so people can understand what's going on. It's gotten worse, because look at what's happening today. It's 100-some degrees in Washington, D.C., and these white nationalists are walking with ski masks on their heads trying to show us something, and everybody's saying, I hope they get a heat stroke or something. It's too damn hot to be racist, okay? But at the end of the day, we are here to tell the story. And I'm so glad that this one got her own news organization, because you know what? Yes. Because, and I'm glad Charles is out of his mind, and I love it on the internet. But what they're doing to a lot of these black news organizations and even white organizations, they're making them get rid of us. They're not allowing advertisers to advertise on our news organizations. So we need your support, and so we can tell the stories that they won't tell, that they're too scared to tell, because Donald Trump is a bully.
I think that's so key, because right now we're talking about the 250th of this country, but I also want people to keep another date in mind, and that is next year we will be celebrating 200 years of black press. So while there is celebration and fireworks for that, I do need you to understand we have always told our story, right? We haven't always had the funds. We've had to save our own community. We've had to invest in our own. And we see, as April said before, this is an administration that, since they have attacked DEI so hard, advertisers have pulled left and right. And so where are we again? We have to continue to fund and save our own narrative. And so that also isn't just with the journalists here and influencers here, but that's you in your own home. That means I always ask people, what is your news diet? Where do you get your information from? If you wake up every morning and your diet starts with Msnbc and ends with the CNN, and I'm not knocking that at all. MS Now, right? MS Now. And in between that, you're not looking at The Root or AURN or looking at April the Contrarian or looking at what Elizabeth Booker
or The
Root is putting out. Or you're not looking at people who we keep the truth of the community in our mouths. Then you're doing a disservice, not just to yourself, but to your family. We have got to teach and tell our story. And it is very important in a day and age where this administration wants to change the story, erase it, take it down. We see it, and then the American taxpayer pays for the lie.
I don't think that we've necessarily owned the narrative, but we've owned the strategy. We always have been able to break through. And the white supremacists, the white nationalists who have been running media and all of our stories for so many decades are, quite frankly, spineless. They're cowards. They're weak. And they don't actually know how to fight and break through. And so I'm always very proud, because despite us being in smaller numbers, less funding and everything else, black media always has a way to push forward. And what I love about us, and when I say we own the strategy, is we don't act like white people. And I will say, as a digital content creator, what I mean by that is a lot of white digital content creators in my space are fighting with traditional media every other day. And meanwhile, I have a partnership with the Washington Informer, black-owned newspaper in DC. I am doing things with The Root and Watering Hole Media with Ashley Allison. April, Ryan and I are talking about things we're going to do together, right? We are collaborative. We have a community mindset that they don't have. And they're always trying to not just divide and conquer us, but they're trying to divide and conquer their own. And that's something that we've always known how to take advantage of and then break through.
I want to follow up on that, because as April said, you got your first wave of true integration after the Kern report. You got your first wave of, like a surge of women reporters in newsroom after the women's rights movement. You got your first wave of LGBTQ people after Stonewall. We got a second wave of blackness with the rise of the first black president, rise of Black Lives Matter, but now you see that crashing. You see so many people losing jobs, being displaced, moved around. Where do you see the greatest opportunity for growth for black journalists and for black journalistic entrepreneurs in this climate?
Well, I can start. I think everybody has an assignment and a role for the moment that we are in. And in 2020, I started Watering Hole Media in 2009, actually, when Barack Obama was elected. And I started it for the same reason why I relaunched it in 2023. And that was because I was living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. I was a high school special education teacher, and my students were on fire for this man. And the media was not telling the story that they cared to look. And I was like, there's something happening, and we should tell our stories. Life happens. I shut it down. I was 26, didn't know what I was doing. But a dream deferred is not a dream denied. And in 2023, after the election in 2024, everybody was like, the internet, the manosphere. It was like, if you were awake, you would have known that was happening. And so I tried to catch the tidal wave before, and I started working with people like Elizabeth Booker Houston and other creators. We went into production. And that connects to entrepreneurship because there's one thing, in 2023, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try and get my show. And my friend was like, that's great, but what happens when they cancel your show? Because they cancel us all the time. You don't own the show. You don't own the chair, Ashley. It is rented property. What are you building for that is bigger than yourself? And so I took this leap of faith and started going around and telling people for years I was gonna buy properties. And the Root is the first purchase, but it surely is not gonna be our last
Come
purchase.
on, come on,
We have a
preach it.
full roll-up strategy. We're in hot deals right now, thinking about how we build our own conglomerate in our way. And I thought, I was like, look, if I go and buy this, my personal footprint is gonna shrink for a moment because it's hard to buy something. You know how hard it is to buy a house, a car, all the paperwork? Buying something else from someone is a lot. Getting investors is a lot. And so I took the sacrifice. I realized that, like, once you own it, you can have whatever show you want. I can give everybody here a show if I want, right? It's just like people say, run it up the flagpole. I am the pole. You know what I'm saying? I don't gotta ask anybody. I'm the pole, I'm the flag, I'm the man and woman that puts it up to. So that I say that because it's like you have to decide when you're about to be an entrepreneur in media, maybe something has to sunset for a moment so you can build the thing that then really gives you the ability to launch the way you wanna launch. And then the most important thing, and this is my final point on this, is like once you learn it, I'm an open book. I'm not keeping no secrets on how I did that. If you wanna buy something, baby, let's talk, because I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything I don't know still as I'm going through it. But we can't, what I did is like, people were really surprised, but I'm not the only person that can buy media. I'm really not. If you want it, go get it.
I want to thank you, Ashley. And I want to piggyback off of something you said about the manosphere and all of that, and about not owning things, because I always think about that, right? There's some white man that owns the social media platforms that I post on. 700,000 whatever followers on Instagram don't matter. I don't own it, at the end of the day. And I knew from the beginning that, and I've said this to people all the time, they say, how do we fight the manosphere? I said, we don't. We don't. The manosphere is designed to make people isolated in their phones all day, weird and scary, okay? It's to make white men very weird and scary specifically, and we don't do that. We are community builders. And so one thing that I know I focused on was making sure to build bridges and make impact in person as much as or more than I do on the internet. So coming to things like Essence Festival, but also the comedy clubs, the stuff I do there, going to have pop-up town hall events.
She's real funny, y'all.
I think so.
Hilarious.
I think so.
Hilarious.
Thank you. But, making sure that we understand that the digital strategy does not get divorced from the in-person community strategy, because the less we are with each other and in community with each other, also not everything belongs on the internet. Stop. Don't put every thought, every plan, everything on the internet. It's not safe, right? But we have to make sure that we are using that as a way to build community in person.
So let me say this. We have more power than we know. We have so much power. When Twitter went to X, they shook Black Twitter. Black Twitter was leading the conversation. Digital is now king in media. A lot of these mainstream organizations are now watching what is happening on our shows digitally. And I'm gonna tell you, this thing is real. I mean, we've seen the delivery systems change. Newspapers are obsolete. Watching the 3 stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, look, I don't know which one y'all are picking or liking today, but that's changed. Cable is even obsolete. Everyone is streaming. Everyone is streaming. So at the end of the day, what we need to understand is this is the system for now. There will be a change in another 20 years. But while we are here, get your story out. We don't know unless you tell us. Don't be scared. Scared money don't make no money. Come to us. What's the truth? Because I'm going to tell you something. They're not going to tell your story. People are watching streaming services. And I'm going to tell you, I've been in the business for about 40 years. Been at the White House 29. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm no spring chicken, even though I look like I'm 17. But, dang, everybody laughed hard on that one. So, but no, I have had to, and I know Charles has, it has been a shift. And in order, this is not, and I don't think it's up here, everyone up here, it's about us. It's about the power of the pen and informing the community. It's not about us. It's about you. And that's some of the reason why being at the White House and telling those stories is so important. I don't go in the White House every day because they're looking for me. Every time I go, they want to start a fight. Every time I go, they want to start. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm from Baltimore. I will get with you. Am I lying?
I'm a witness. I'm a witness.
Every time they come after me, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Right.
But here's the thing. They don't like the fact that I know the truth and I'm telling the truth still no matter what. And this is a community, we have a community, this is so serious. We're a community, before Donald Trump came into the second term, a community with the highest numbers of negatives in almost every category. Now we have rollbacks and laws and freedoms. If we don't report it and if you don't look, you're missing out. This ain't just about the Blacksonian losing this or losing that, or the Michelle Obama piece is not the National Portrait Gallery anymore, or the fact that those slave ship pieces are out of the museum. This is about your life, the tariffs, your groceries, your rent that's too damn high. This is about us, and you've got to pay attention to these organizations and people. He's sitting up here every other night on CNN going the hell off, and posting it. And if you're not watching, you're missing out. You've got people who are standing up here who are not afraid of the fire because you need to know.
Let me just say this also really quickly. And
You
one
can
of the
clap. Let 'em clap
No, you
first.
go
Let 'em
ahead.
clap.
Go ahead.
Now you can talk. Go ahead.
So funny. All day, every day. I love this one right here. I always tell people one of the most important things that you can own, many of you are using it and pointing it right now, is your cell phone. I need you to understand it's not just us up here, but you can be your own town crier. Because people aren't waiting for the evening news to break to figure out what's going on in their community. Right where you are, there is something happening on your block. And I need us to all be responsible to pick up that cell phone, pick up whatever media tool that you use to spread information, but I also need you to also report it. What it took these companies, and there are about just 5 major companies that really control all of the news that you watch, and they are not interested in you or your development at all. But I need you to understand that what you do with that device and recording and putting it on these platforms is important. The reason why we are seeing what has happened in some of these detention centers, the reason why we're knowing what's happening in some of these communities that we can't always get to is because you now also play a role in this. This isn't just about, oh, I'm up here and I have this title. This is about saving our communities, right? So when we talk about the narrative, you're also involved in that. It can be scary going in that place sometimes because there is a bullseye on your back, but guess what? It's one on your back too in your community, right?
Just for being black, there's a bullseye because they automatically assume that you don't think the way they do. But whether or not, Donald Trump just called, what did he call you? Obnoxious.
Called me obnoxious. I said, no, I'm not. I didn't think it was that serious. But when we talk about there's no pushback because, and I know you all.
And they don't come together with any of the reporters there to keep pushing.
No, they don't. And so that's why you have to help us amplify these voices as we also amplify yours. Black media has always represented the voices of the unheard.
Rachel Scott from ABC asked a question about your money, about your groceries, those little white eggs or brown eggs that you get from the store, and the gas prices, and he called her a bee. Oh, you didn't know that? And he's going after every black woman. And if the media, if our colleagues, our white colleagues and our black colleagues would have gotten together and banded together in that first term, when I had a bomb come to my house, the bomb squad, the FBI, we wouldn't be dealing with this mess now. It takes you, the people. You are not excluded from this equation, even though the 4th of July for us is different than it is for them. You are not excluded from the conversation. You are a part. Retweet or re-Instagram, regram, whatever the hell you do, repost. Yeah. Support us. I'm sorry, I'm hyped. I don't normally use those words. But
like,
they're in the
share,
Bible.
comment, follow.
Okay.
But yeah.
Like, share, comment, follow.
And also
And subscribe.
And to point out, before I had any kind of a platform, that's how it started. Somebody pissed me off talking sideways at a black woman, and I cussed him out on the internet.
And what happened?
The platform blew up. I guess people like me cussing out white supremacists. I don't know.
Well, I will say this. So I was on CNN for 2 years, and it was just like blase, blase, blase. And then one pop-off happened, and it went like wildfire.
It went viral, yeah.
And I went viral, and it was like, nobody saw it on CNN. They were like, you're that girl in the shade room all the time. I said, what am I on the shade room for? Wait a minute. And they're like, no, you that girl from CNN. And I'm like, oh, you watched it? I said, no, I see it on this clip, on this clip. And so it is like, I always say, content is king, but distribution is the emperor. And if we don't get it out, people won't see it.
How many of you repost?
Let's stay on that topic.
But wait a minute, Charles, how many of you repost? Oh my God. How many of you just look and keep scrolling? This is a safe space. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Just hit the heart. Just hit the heart.
Yeah, give a heart. Do something.
I want to stay on this because I think it's really important, and a lot of people out here may even be dealing with this issue. How do you turn that engagement that a lot of you have talked about? You said the most powerful thing people have is their phone. You know, you talked about your viral moments. How do you, in the journalism space, turn that into sustainability, profitability? How do you become a brand and create a market for what you want to deliver and get it out there and become a working journalist?
So do you know, it's not just visibility though. You have to give people what they want. You have to have the pulse of the people. And at the end of the day, right now, back in the day, I remember Facebook said, oh, do you want to monetize? And I was like, oh, you can't, as a journalist, you're not supposed to. You know, you can't do that. Let me tell you something. Right now, we're independent journalists, and I done turned that monetization on, and that gentleman right there who just sat down taught me, he said, look, you are a brand. Turn it on. Because we are independent journalists like Don Lemon. A lot of us have gotten, the people who have names have gotten pushed out of mainstream newsrooms. And now, in order for us to continue the service, look, even on Facebook, that little 1 penny that you press for the heart, that penny adds to another penny that adds to another penny. And if you want to keep getting the news, you guys are sitting here, and more people are coming in because we are saying something that you feel. And we are reporting things that you need, and you know that we have integrity, and you believe in us. So if you believe in us, hey, Barack Obama had $25 from each person pretty much to become president. You know, I ain't asking for well, I could ask for $5,000, but you know, but it doesn't take that much to support, to keep getting the news. We are on the front line and under fire, and this sister owns an organization. She's out there when Don Lemon was let out of jail in LA. She is down in Alabama. I was too. A lot of us are moving around, and that movement, it ain't. It's not in the air. I wish there was a money tree we could shake.
Joining us for the last portion of our panel, Erin Haynes, President of National Association of Black Journalists.
Hey, Erin.
Oh, here comes the queen. All hail, all hail.
In yellow, looking beautiful.
Hanging
Come
out
on,
in your
yellow.
yellow. Hey, your chartreuse.
Listen, believe it or not, I'm actually in a deadline-oriented profession for work. Sorry. Hi. Where were we?
talking about journalism, but
talk a little bit
wanted
about
to,
what we do together?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I want to point out, I want to make it very clear, I respect so much everyone on this stage. I am not a journalist, right? I make that very clear that's why I said she a political commentator. That's what I do. It's not journalism, honestly, for me to go to Mitch McConnell's office and ask if he's dead yet. That's just me playing pranks.
Oh!
But there is a symbiotic relationship that I mentioned earlier that is really important. And so I was approached by Miss Ashley Allison to be part of her creator cohort with Watering Hole Media in 2024 was the first one we did. And I'm still with them now and now doing, collabs with The Root.
Yes, absolutely.
And you did segments for some of our shows we produced. You did our Person on the Street. And we compensate her. And I want to say this. We compensate her because her time is valuable. We don't compensate her to say what we want her to say.
Right.
We have never given you a script. We have said, here are some topics we care about, and you get to do what you do.
Also, it's just topics that you pick topics that Black people care about, honestly.
Yeah.
It is a symbiotic relationship, though, because here's the thing. Not all creators are messengers of truth, but all of you are trusted messengers. You are a messenger of truth. What you are doing, so much of the information that you are getting is from journalists, from Black journalists, in so many cases that you are sharing with the community that is trusting you to bring them honest and accurate information. So there absolutely is a place and a space and lessons on both sides to be learned. Journalists from creators and creators absolutely from journalists. But I mean, all of us are in the business of getting trusted information to Black communities in an age of mis and disinformation that we know is being disproportionately targeted to us.
Aaron, I'm going to give you a little bit more time because you showed us. I want to explore for us what it means to be a trusted messenger in the news environment and with a creator economy, how they fit into that. Because for a lot of creators, brand partnerships are part of how they make their money. For a journalist, that's problematic. For a lot of creators, having access to get the big interview, they may make certain compromises that the traditional journalists would not make to get the same interview because they think it compromises them. How do we navigate that so that we do draw the best from both worlds and get as much information as possible to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say a couple of things. One, the Black press, as you may not know, is turning 200 years old next year. 200 years old. And I point that out to say that Black people, Black journalists have always been the ones who have had to tell the truth for our folks and to show the fullness and the dignity and the humanity of Black communities all across this country when we know that that was not something that mainstream legacy publications were willing to do, right? And so that tradition continues through folks like Ashley, through folks like April, through folks like Ebony, but now through folks like some of these creators who are sharing the stories that we are producing with their communities to get them the information that we need. A lot of times, information that we are reporting on, right? That they can amplify that message to audience who may not otherwise find the stories that we are telling. So I think that that's really, really important. I also think, though, that so many of you out here in the audience, how many of you, you're scrolling, you see a story, you share it on one of your platforms? Raise your hand if you're doing that. Thank you.
Well, that's a couple more hands than the last time we asked this question.
Now they got shamed.
But I'm cheating because the president of the NABJ is here.
No, thank you for doing that, though, because look, folks see folks like us up here on TV. Maybe you see us on the internet. Maybe you see us on your platforms, but it's you all. You all are the people in your family, your friends, your coworkers, you all are the people that they trust to share something. If you share something that I wrote or that April is posting or that the Root is reporting on, if you share that, that means so much more than anybody that somebody doesn't know just because they're seeing us on a screen or hearing our voice on the radio or on a podcast or on a social media platform. So I would say it is incumbent upon all of you, if there's one thing that I could ask folks to do leaving from this room, it is to find trusted, honest, accurate sources of information and to be sharing those. Black journalists are among some of the most trusted messengers in our profession, and we do this because we know that our communities need that information and because we have to tell an honest and accurate story about this country.
How many people are following somebody on the stage? That's not enough. All right, all right. So, okay, call out your handle.
It is Booker Squared. My name is Elizabeth Booker Houston. Thank you. If you Google it, everything comes up. My name.
For me, it's at Ebony McMorris and also at AURN News.
So please follow at eMarvelous. That's my profile on Instagram. Erin Haynes on Blue Sky, the platform formerly known as Twitter. But at 19th News is the platform that I work for that I helped to start 6 years ago. We are focused on the intersection of gender, politics, and culture. It is free to consume. It is free to share. I write a newsletter for it. It's called The Amendment. You can subscribe to that newsletter for free. So this is free nonprofit journalism that we are producing for the communities that we know need it. So that's at 19th News on Instagram.
I'm on all platforms at April D. Ryan, but on Instagram it's ADR1600. But on Substack, that's where I do my show, The Tea, every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30. Charles is going to be coming on, and so is Ashley soon. And Aaron's coming on definitely for the White House
Breaking news.
For the White House Correspondents Association.
Breaking news.
Oh no, we talked about.
We're hanging out.
We're
hanging out. Very soon.
Yes.
I'm committing on stage. Y'all heard it here. So
yeah. So
stay tuned.
go to Substack and subscribe.
Yes, that means so much to have that support. Subscribe to her Substack.
And we're at The Root on all the platforms, and I'm Ashley R. Allison on most of the platforms. But if I could just pick up, because The Root is a business. This is like, if the money does not come in, people do not get paid, and we lay people off. And I think everyone has seen the stories of the massive layoffs, the gutting of newsrooms, and particularly of Black journalists. Yeah. And when those stories, I'm not going to name the names of the publications because you probably already know what they are. When that was happening, we had to make a choice. And we decided to double our newsroom by the end of this year. Now, we're not as big as the Post, but why do it if you're not gonna do it? You know, run through the tape. But I wanna just talk to you about why we're saying follow, subscribe. Because those likes, the little square where you can just reshare, those comments actually aggregate to business avenue and dollars and revenue. That gives us the opportunity to go to sponsors that are the corporations that are all out here and say, we connect with the Black community. The Black community trusts us, and we are responsible as those trusted messengers. And I don't get rich when y'all do that. But what we get to do is we get to triple our newsroom. Yes. And so if we want to keep Black journalists and creators and do show networks and tell our story, this is a symbiotic relationship. Absolutely. So this is a community. It's an ecosystem. If you don't support us, then I can't support her, and then she can't tell the truth to you. And so at some point, the links broke. People stopped picking up Black newspapers. They're struggling. They're struggling right now.
At the 200th anniversary of the Black press, where are we? Where are the people that can support one of our oldest and most trusted institutions? We need you. We need you at this milestone. I mean, we're talking about, the 250th anniversary of this democracy. No, the 200th anniversary of Black journalism is something that we must also not only celebrate, but recommit to as a community.
Another 200 years.
And I wanted to jump in on the creator economy piece, just as the creator. Because the support from my followers is definitely like how I get the sponsorships and the collabs and the things. And I will tell you what happened last year is when some of the white people in this space found out that I, as a Black woman, was getting some contracts that they thought were a little too much money.
Targeting.
They started throwing slanderous, defamatory comments and saying I was being paid by all of these nefarious people. The biggest one that they said, it was Congressional Black Caucus PAC. They said me being paid by CBC PAC as a Black woman political creator was somehow nefarious. And these were not right-wingers. These were white people who claimed to be woke and on the left. So I really just want to reiterate what Ashley has said, but also my just extreme gratitude to our community, because a lot of white people got mad. I told them, you can go screw yourself. My target audience is Black people anyway. I don't care. And so for black people to continue to support me, I want to thank everybody that did, but also say continue to support me, but other black creators as well. Because once we do find a way to financially support ourselves, they come at us so fast and try to take us down and try to like slander our names, our integrity, and what we do as far as telling the truth, because they know we're impactful. They know that we're effective, and they know that that's how they can go after us.
So let me say this real fast. I have been in Washington for 29 years. Change jobs. Do you know they will not give me a credential anymore in Capitol Hill? Which is ridiculous. They know me by name. But you know what? The great thing is, a lot of these, when we build a brand and a name, these congressional leaders say, oh yeah, I want to have an interview with it. They'll let them in. They'll let us in. But see, here's the thing. You guys don't know what it takes to cover the stories for you. What the fire that we go through to make sure that you get the pictures, to make sure you stand outside the hospital waiting to see what's going on with
Yeah,
Mitch
I'm going to find out if Mitch is dead, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm going back to D.C. tomorrow. I'm going to find out if that man, I think he went to the lower room, but
Allegedly.
I will find out. Allegedly. I said I think. I didn't say I know. I said I think.
But I feel like what April is speaking to is something that matters. People like Ebony, people like April, they are on the front lines doing this work day in and day out. And that should matter to every single person in this room. You don't have to be a black journalist to care about what is happening to black journalists right now. And I am telling you, black journalists, black women journalists in particular, are under attack right now.
Preach.
I also want people to know some of the numbers behind it. Because when DEI got attacked, there was almost 80%, I believe, decrease in funding to black media. 80% decrease in funding.
For NNPA,
and so,
absolutely.
right, for NNPA. So when you're talking about why don't I see certain things, or you're wanting to figure out, why don't I see more investigative news, it takes money for that to happen. It takes money, and that's why I love, Ashley, what you're saying, what you're doing, creating a newsroom. It takes a lot of work and people behind the scenes to go fact find, do the information, do the digging, pay for these platforms that help us allow us to be able to do that. That's why it's important for this work to be collaborative with the people that are here. When I was looking at the numbers of how many people get their news from traditional media versus TikTok, and a lot of these other platforms, for younger people under 30, it's like 63% of them get their information, not from traditional, but from these services like that. And so with that,
how can we meet them where they are? We have to come to those platforms, but that takes resources.
It takes resources in order to do that. So I'm sure everybody in here probably, you are subscribing to a whole lot of stuff. You look at your bank account, you got $5 here, $8 here, $6 here.
Don't even know what you subscribe to.
Don't even know what you're
25 cents.
Right.
What is that subscription? Don't know.
To do that, but I want you, and I said this earlier, I want you to examine the diet that you have when it comes to news. Where are you putting your money? Where are you putting your resources? And do an evaluation. Am I supporting black news in my own community? Because even local news, there's a huge decline in local news in our areas. There's such a desert when it comes to truth. And this is an administration who said, oh, I just love uneducated people. And so he is counting on people to not be woke. He's counting on people to not fact check. He's counting on you to be asleep in your own community while America is being robbed.
He's counting on you not to read like he doesn't read.
Right. He sure don't.
I want to just say one thing about what you may be hearing here, and I've traveled the country for the last 2 years with MacArthur and the Press Forward, working on the issue of local news, disappearance of local news. And there's a gap that happens sometimes. So you may hear us up here talking and people saying support. And a lot of times people in the public hear that and they think, why are you as an industry not working just like Apple iPhones work? Make a better product, people buy it. That is not, what's up?
Charles, it's not about you. Go ahead, keep talking.
Okay, I didn't hear what was happening. So the thing.
Charles, keep talking. It's somebody or something else.
I know somebody worked for the conference. But the difference is news is a public good. It's a utility. The only reason that you know your neighbors is because of trusted sources. It's because somebody put the death notice and you found out that the person down the block was in the war, it is because somebody published a wedding announcement and you found out that the bride or the husband had an advanced degree that you didn't know before. It's because some local journalist went to the garden club and
Or that
found
the
out
city council is
at the
going to
city
do
council
something that
meeting
you
and
need to
dug
know
through
about.
every-
Utility rates are about to go up in
Finances,
your community that you don't know
Exactly.
about. This is what local news, it is the fabric of our
It's the
communities.
fabric.
And it's so
and
important.
Also, every photo you have from the civil rights movement, the ones you think move you so much, some person who is a paid
Photographer.
photographer,
A
this
journalist
was his
documents
life, this is how he fed his kids, that's the only reason you have documentation of that.
Yeah.
Every photo from Emmett Till's funeral is because that person was paid to travel and went and took those pictures. If you want to have documentation of the black experience in America and know what it means and what is happening, you have to invest in making sure that someone is paid to go do it. It won't happen otherwise.
And I just want to say this. There are no other people that folks think should do stuff for free except for black people.
And combine that with journalism that they have expected to be free.
Like, this is work. It's fun because I love it, because I'm a storyteller. But it's hard. Elizabeth fact checks.
I was actually-
She has a family. She travels here. We sent 22 creators when the Supreme Court decision happened 2 months or so ago around gutting the Voting Rights Act, the
Louisiana
Calais
versus
decision.
Calais.
And then 7 days later, they gutted a generation of work. 7 days. And it wasn't breaking through on the news. It was covered just like everything else, and the page was turned. They took our rights away. They took black people's rights away. They started chopping up districts so we could, in this state, it is Louisiana v. Calais. That is the Supreme Court decision that gutted the Voting Rights Act. And it wasn't being covered properly on mainstream news. And so, as someone who owns a black media outlet, I was like, well, what are you owning a black media outlet if you're not gonna tell the story? I got to be Jet in this generation. So we sent 22 content creators down to Montgomery in 9 days' notice to the All Roads Lead to the South activation. And when we did, what we saw, and it wasn't free, because guess what? The airlines didn't say, I didn't ask the airlines not to pay the pilot. I didn't ask the airlines not to pay the flight attendant. I didn't say to the person who checked them in at the hotel and the Uber driver not to get paid. So we had to pay our content creators. We had to fly them down there. That took money, but that investment actually changed the arc of the story around redistricting. It finally broke through, and we looked at the data on the internet. It broke through because black people invested in black people, but then we have to be invested in.
But you know what, and I'm going to say this really fast. You're right about that. I was there, you were there, and I'm going to tell you something. A lot of mainstream media had not been there.
They've moved on.
They did not want to cover us, and this is one of the main pieces we're trying to tell you. It was a powerful moment. We were in Selma, in the church, and then went from Selma to Montgomery. And mainstream media did not want to cover this issue because it was about racist gerrymandering against black folks. They're not telling the story. It costs money to go out there and do it. This is not myth, it's not conjecture. It's a business, but it's a business that we care about to make sure you're informed. It's about you. It's about we the people who are still forming a more perfect.
I'm gonna give our last question because we're over time and I don't want to make sure the next panel can get onto the stage. April's gonna kill me if I don't get my handles. Charles Imblo on everything. I just want to know, because this is impacting everyone in this audience as well, how is AI impacting your work and your journalism?
Man, you just asked, look.
I'm like, that's the last question? My
I
God.
just left the
So
Young,
many
Gifted,
ways.
and Green event where I was moderating a fireside chat talking about data centers in my hometown of Memphis, XAI, and Elon Musk. That was a big question to end on. But I will just say this. AI has made it so hard to fight disinformation and misinformation. If I don't stop seeing people sharing videos that are not real, images that are not real, audio that is not real. It is very, very frightening, and that's why it makes it even more important for the investments we're talking about here, because if Ashley can fly us out and we can physically stand somewhere and say, this is what we saw with our eyes and capture video, that is so important. People have become so isolated and separated on the internet, and AI has allowed for people to be so easily tricked and misled, and we have got to make sure that we learn how to spot it. I was the AI, before I was forced out of my federal job, I was a privacy lawyer at the Food and Drug Administration, and I was the AI point person, and I left because that entire administration went completely past my office and put in an AI system called ELSA that I do not trust and is now being used to review every food, drug, whatever product, 20% of the GDP coming into the country. And I left because I knew I was being forced out, and they were coming for our necks. AI is such a problem. It can be a beautiful thing, because I want to point out there's ethical AI, there is good AI, there's AI in science and research and all these tools that work, but there is very, very scary, misleading, misinformed, generative AI that is not only tricking us, but also completely destroying our ecosystem, our water, our air, and everything else. Why did you make this the last question?
I'll just say, look, I might have a slightly different take as someone who is trying to create a lot of content at scale. AI is here. It's
not
here.
the future, it's
It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And as a community, we have an obligation to understand what impact it has. When the internet came, when social media platforms came, people were like, oh, and they never did anything to regulate it. They didn't pass 230, and now kids are committing suicide, getting drugs, having eating disorders because we didn't do what we needed to regulate it. So I think it's a both-and approach. Well, it's three things. I would say you need to wrap your hands around it. You need to learn to test it and play with it and get an understanding of it so that it doesn't leave you in the past. Then we need to work to make sure there's regulations so that AI could actually also be a public good and we could have some ownership over it. And then I would just say, also be mindful of what harms it's doing in our community, but I just don't think we can just be like, AI bad, people good, because we won't win in that way. We have to engage in it a little bit more.
I wouldn't have done the job I did if I thought AI was just purely evil. And what Ashley is saying is so true. This is how we harness it for good. We have got to harness it for good.
Yeah, and because the bottom line is, just to the points that have already been made, AI is here, and we don't want it to be something that is happening to us. We want to be shaping what the future of AI is going to look like, not just in our communities, but absolutely also for journalism, because AI is not going to be the thing that takes jobs in journalism. The people who know how to use AI are the people that are going to be taking the jobs in journalism.
That's
so
right.
it is incumbent upon us to figure out how this is beneficial to our profession, but also how it is harmful. And in combination with that, because we are Black folks, before I ever had a journalism credential, I must also think about the benefits and the harms for Black communities as I am doing that work.
So I'm going to say this real fast. AI is forever changing. It churns. Even as we're speaking, something new has come out every second. We are behind the curve when it comes to AI. We need to learn it. I'm not saying do papers on it, but we must learn it. And it is helpful for management issues, like, charting your logs for what you have to do a day or what have you. But I'm going to tell you one thing. In journalism, as a White House correspondent, I'm confronted with AI almost every other day because Donald Trump likes to post these dumb AI pictures of fakeness. The AI, he was reposting the AI thing with Michelle and Barack Obama and Hakeem Jeffries, and we got a report on it. So that it's ridiculous. But when put to good use, it can be a helpful thing. But when put in the hands of the President of the United States, you see what you get.
Which is why what everybody on this stage does is so important. You've heard me talking about trusted messengers. Truth is going to be such a valuable currency in this AI environment. The people who are telling you the truth, the people who you know are showing up on these platforms as real folks that are giving you real information, that matters. And so following people like us, following other Black journalists that you trust, sharing those people with the people in your networks, these are the folks we need to be listening to. And by the way, when somebody in your families, one of your friends, one of your coworkers is sharing something that you recognize to be disinformation or AI, lovingly correct them. I lovingly encourage them.
Ebony, you are
Do
last.
not continue to amplify this.
Sorry. Ebony, you're our last on
I
this.
just want to say this really quickly because I love the fact what April said. If you don't think that you need to be a part of it, we are in an administration that is using it on a daily. But I just want to end on it, right, to weaponize. But I just want to say this before we end, just bringing the Bible just quickly. When the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and rulers of darkness in high places, I want you to understand that it doesn't matter whether this orange one is in or somebody else gets out. That's the flesh and the blood. The powers and the principalities are systems and governments that we have, so they will always be in place if we don't push back. You have the power. We have said it. While we are utilizing ours, I need you to utilize yours. It is not just about that flesh and blood that you see every day. It is a system that has been in place called white supremacy, and it can ship shape in AI or anything else, but it has always been after the greatness that is in you. It has always been a part of what has created us to survive. Always tried to attack the black women as well. So I just wanted to give you a little good word so when you leave here on today, you understand that your hope is built on nothing less. And for those who know.
And let the church say amen, and we're about to go. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate
Amen.
it.
Pass the collection plate.